Yo, what up? How you guys doing out there today? This is your boy Rotobeast. I'm here with my boy Jeremy, and we're here to break down our bankroll management strategy. How you doing out there, Jeremy?
Yo, what's up, man?
Hey man, we're talking about bankroll in this video. We know how important bankroll is to somebody who is trying to play DFS long term. So I think this is a very, very important video for people to watch, people to understand what we're talking about. It'll definitely help you continue playing DFS in the long run. Some people come into DFS and they think that they're just going to win big in a week, and they end up losing all their money and stop playing in a week. So definitely, this is a must watch video. So let's jump into this video, man. Let's get started. I mean, we'll start with the initial question. I'll let you answer it. What is a bankroll?
That's a great question, right? A lot of people define their bankroll is what their balance is on FanDuel or DraftKings, and I just don't agree with that, right? Because if you're playing a system where you're going to deposit $100 today, but you have the ability to put $100 on tomorrow and the next day and the next day, and just flawlessly play or recklessly play with that, then you're not defining what your bankroll is. You're just spending money. So to me, it's what you plan or set aside to spend or invest on one of the sites or both of the sites on a monthly and then weekly basis, and then managing that amount of money and staying tight with that budget. That's your bankroll, right? Everybody's bankroll is different, but defining it can be the same. It's what you have the ability or what you plan to invest on the sites on a weekly basis and a monthly basis.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. It's like some people just they always think, oh, I got $100 balance and this is my bankroll, and then you're absolutely right, man. You got to look at one thing I learned from you when we first started kind of playing together is you got to look at DFS more as like the stock market, and you're making investments into it. It's not just let's play this every day for fun, because there is some serious money that can be made in DFS. So, I mean, we'll kind of piggyback off of our initial question and talk about kind of defining your bankroll. I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and that's first of all, right, defining what bankroll is, setting that expectation, and then, you know, what we'll see people do where they'll get in trouble is they'll have some success like over a week playing the system correctly, and then as that balance starts to build up, or if they hit something, then they just raise the level of entries on a nightly basis and completely throw their system out the window, and then now they're redepositing and they just blew their profit, right? So one thing you and I have always talked about, and that is pay yourself, right? Whether it's weekly or monthly or whatever it is, but stick to the system and then pay yourself. So defining your bankroll, you have to figure out what that is, and that is how much can you spend on the sites on a monthly basis or a weekly basis, and then sticking to that system and employing the strategy that we talk about, which is a good kind of segue here. The 80-20, 70-30, or 50-50 type system, and then diversifying from there. But the most important thing about bankroll management, in my opinion, outside of sticking to the script and the system, is defining what your bankroll is, man. If you're a guy who can play, $300 over the course of a month, then you're going to play $10 a night. That's just what you're going to play, right? Play $10 a night, and stick to the script.
Yeah, for sure. So one of the biggest things bankroll management is we talk about, you have to go in to a night and you have to go, we'll say a month, for example. We'll say you make a $500 investment in a FanDuel, and you're going to use that $500 all month long. So you have to go into it with a plan. It can't just be some nights I'm going to play more than other nights. It has to be a consistency night in and night out. Honestly, it depends on how much money you really have. If you're a little bit more of a high roller and you have a little bit more money and you're looking to win a little bit bigger money, then you can play a little bit more nightly compared to a guy who does, or a lady that doesn't have as much money and they just kind of want to play more for the longevity of it. You got to pick a percentage you're going to play nightly. So it's either anywhere from 10% to 20%, and that should be what you're playing every single night, win, lose, or draw. You're sticking to that percentage. A perfect example, if you're a player that you're not spending so much money like nightly, then if you're a beginner in DFS, I always recommend beginners play 10% every single night. This way, you basically have 10 days. If you lose all 10 days, then hey, it is what it is. But I'm pretty sure you're not going to lose 10 straight days. And this way, if you have your good days, you have your bad days, but you're going to stick to your 10% nightly. I know you like to play a little bit more closer to 20% a night, but you max in a lot more and spend a little bit more money. So what's your thoughts on kind of defining your percentages night in and night out?
I think the first thing you have to do is understand what type of a person you are, right? If you're an aggressive individual, then play 20% of it. And it's also figuring out how disciplined of a person you are. To me, daily fantasy, the most important thing you can figure out is setting an expectation, right? What's your expectation? And we talk about that with our system, which is the expectation is to win 6 out of 10 nights at a 60% clip. If you win at a
Right.
60% clip, then that's gonna let you ride the peaks and the valleys and not overreact, go on tilt when you lose 2 nights in a row. It's that you're looking at it 6 out of 10 nights. I have to win at a 60% clip, right? And then you're not burnt when something goes wrong on a certain night. You know that you've played the percentages, you've stuck to the bankroll management strategy, and you have the 90% of your bankroll left because you only put 10% on that particular night. And that's why employing the whole system that we talk about is so important, with diversifying, using the bankroll management percentages, getting in the right contest selection.
Mhm.
It's all very important part of this process.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, you kind of touched on it quickly right now. So let's kind of go into that. What do you think is a great way of deploying a diverse strategy when we're talking about bankroll management?
So I'll give you what my system is and has been for the past 5 to 6 years, and that is I play 10% pretty much on a nightly basis of what my bankroll is for the month, right? And then what I do with that 10% is I break it into a 50-50 structure. So 50% of that. So just giving you round numbers, right? If I'm going to play $6,000 a month on FanDuel and entry fees, then I'm going to play 600 bucks a night, right? And if I'm going to play 600 bucks a night, then 300 of that is going to be in tournaments and 300 of that is going to be in cash games. Of the cash games, the most important thing that we can put forward to you, the longevity that we've had playing daily fantasy, both you and I, is the same belief that you cannot diversify your cash game lineups and play multiple cash game lineups.
Yeah,
You're only hedging against yourself, right?
right.
If you're playing, one lineup in 50-50s and another lineup in head-to-heads and another lineup in double ups and another lineup in, you're just hedging against yourself. We play all of our cash game lineups on one cash game that we grind out every single day. That's our cash game lineup, our most optimal lineup, right? So 50% of that is going to go in my 50-50 contest and head-to-head play, and the other 50% or 300 bucks is going to go into tournaments. During the NBA season, I'm about a $400 per night player. I like to get in the $65 three entry max, which is about 195 bucks. Depending on the slate, I may increase or decrease that and have multiple entries in something else. And then I hedge that with equal money in cash. In cash games, the majority of that, 80% of it, is going to be in 50-50 contests. We're not going to get into double ups. We're not going to get into triple ups. We're not going to we've talked about that in other videos. That's the system that I employ. You use pretty much the same exact system, but your percentages are more like 70-30 to 80-20, right?
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, I've always, been more of a cash game. I kind of do the slow grind. Yes, you make less money on a nightly basis playing a cash game strategy. You mentioned it when I first started DFS. I used to do 80% cash games, 20% GPPs. Just I want that slow grind where I'm going to make some money every single night. It's a pretty safe way to kind of play. As I've grown as a DFS player, I have pushed a little bit more towards 70-30, but I'm still playing 70% of my entries every single night in cash games, 10% nightly. And I've definitely seen steady growth in my bankroll, over the past couple of years. And then, the good thing about that is, especially when you're doing 70-30, is it's like I said, it's a safe way to play. You're still playing 30% in GPPs, and you're still giving yourself a really good chance to hit on a nightly basis. The only really big difference I would say with your 50-50 compared to my 70-30 would be usually, if you do 50-50 on those 50% of GPPs, you're kind of either max entering or you're doing kind of three entry maxes. Me, when I kind of go with my 70-30, I kind of just do my cash game line, that 30% is still just strictly my cash game line, and I'm doing it in single entries, stuff like that. But yeah, no, definitely, I think there's some people, like you said it earlier very, very well. It's some people, they'll hit big one night, and then the next day they'll try to go all in, and then they lose everything, and guess what? Their DFS career is over. I mean, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. That's one thing about DFS and bankroll management. It's so very important. Yeah,
This
so I
is
mean,
100%, 100%. You can look, there are so many things that pop up in inboxes, email inboxes every single day, right? Need a second revenue stream. You want to get into this. You want to start a side business. You want to do this, blah, 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 being an entrepreneur. There's so many things in this economy where people have the opportunity that they're trying to look for a second source of income. You can do it. We're real life examples. You can do it playing daily fantasy sports every single day, but you have to treat it like a business and not a lottery ticket. It is not a lottery ticket. If you want to buy and play the lottery, I'll say it all the time. Walk into 7-Eleven, throw 20 bucks on the counter and play quick picks, because it's going to be the same exact percentages at the end of the day. When you try to take stabs at big contests without a system, it's not going to pay off, and there's not going to be long-term success. But if you're truly looking for a second type of revenue stream, you can absolutely do that with daily fantasy sports if you stick to a system. We believe you can use the system that we've employed that's kept us successful for the last 5 years.
Yeah, for sure. And that's just, I mean, I'm just going to kind of reiterate one of the other topics that we're talking about that we've already touched a little bit, was just kind of the importance of your cash game lineups. You have to have a cash game lineup night in and night out. This way, we talked about, even in our previous videos, we talked about, a cash game, you're going to win 50% of your contest, compared to in a GPP, you're only going to win 12%. So your odds are much better. It's a lot easier to hedge your bets night in and night out, having a cash game lineup. I would just, we can't stress enough the importance of having a cash game lineup. So I mean, do you have anything else to really touch on the cash game lineup and the importance of it, or are you ready to move on to kind of our final topic?
I just can't, like you said, reiterate it. I just can't say it enough how important it is. And if you guys have questions on it, feel free to hop in our Discord channel. We're there to answer questions on that. We can get more in depth on it. But you can't, just a perfect example really quick. If you play one cash game lineup, right, and that hits, and you play another cash game lineup for equal money and that doesn't hit, you just wash that out. You just washed it away. You lost one and you made it back in another. And there's no upside in that either. Whereas if you took the same exact strategy and you played one lineup in 50-50 for 20 bucks, and then you played that in your second lineup in a $20 single entry, if the single entry loses and the cash game hits, you hedged, you didn't make any money that night, but you broke even, but you had the upside of taking down that single entry tournament, which could have been 2,500 to maybe 10 grand, depending on the night, right? So you can't play multiple cash game lineups. You're just hedging against yourself.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I just want to kind of finish this off. I mean, we've done a cash game video. We've done a GPP video. We're finishing up our bankroll management video right now. I mean, if you don't mind, just give us a quick overview, a summary of just our system in general.
Right. So I'll just go through it again, right? Our system, plain and simple, is define a bankroll, deploy the bankroll strategy, which is the 10 to 20% per night, pick what level of aggressiveness you want to play with, and knowing what your kind of stomach is for the aggressiveness you want to play with, be it 80-20, 50-50, somewhere in between there. And then understand contest selection, understand 50-50s, understand triple ups, double ups, quintuple ups, understand how to select a contest. We've covered all of these things in our previous tutorial videos. Contest selection is extremely important. Calculating the payout structure and where the pay line is going to be. Is it going to be 18%? Is it 24%? Am I getting 2-to-1 on my money if I cash? In other words, if it's $4.44, am I making $8.88, which would be I'm making $4.44 on my $4.44. Am I paying $4.44 to get into a tournament that if I cash and that cash line 17%, I'm only making $6? That's not a contest you want to get into. So bankroll management, define it. Figuring out what percentage you want to play every single night between 10 and 20%. Playing a system, cash games, to GPPs and tournament contests. What percentage do you want to play at? 80-20, 70-30, 50-50, and then contest selection and making sure you're getting in the right contest where you're not getting out leveraged by the field. 3-man entries, single entries, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Don't just be a guy who's getting into bad contests with low payout structure where you're not getting 2-for-1 on your money and you're out leveraged by the field because people like us are playing 150 entries and you're only playing 4. That's a bad strategy. You're better off getting in a single entry contest to give yourself the same upside where you have equal leverage to everybody in the field. So that's pretty much our system as a whole. We can get way more in depth at that. Cody, I see questions popped up. We'll be glad to answer it. Cody has a question. We'll hop before we hop off. If I am playing a GPP for $50 NHL, how should I edge it with cash? I think he meant hedge. The easiest way for me, and then you can tackle it and we'll get out of here. If I was playing $50 in NHL GPPs tonight, I would play $50 myself. I would play $50 in cash games, and I would probably play 10 $5 50-50s. That's the way I would do it, playing 50% of my money for the night in GPPs and 50% of my money in cash. You would probably be more like around $80, right, in cash if you're playing $50 in tournament, somewhere in the $80 to $90 range, playing the same exact thing. Go ahead. I'll let you go ahead and answer that, though.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're right. If I'm playing $50 in GPPs, I'm probably playing about 75, I would say, in cash. This way, if my GPPs don't hit, my 75 hits in cash, I at least come up profitable $20 or $30. Hey, that's a $20, $30 profit. I'll take it. I'll move on to the next day. Minimum, if I'm playing $50 in GPP, I would play at least $60 minimum in 50-50s. This way, if my 50-50s hit and my $50 GPP doesn't hit, I'll at least break even on the night. One thing you do got to remember, whenever you're playing 50-50s, they do take a small percentage of that money, so I definitely would probably do 60 just so I can at least break even at minimum and move on. And I feel that gives you a lot of upside, especially if it's a $50 single entry GPP. There's probably a low number of entries in that one. So I think that would be a really, really good strategy for sure.
And Cody, just something to check out. If you go to DFSCheatSheet.com, click NHL, click Hot Pucking Stacks. We are giving a free lineup out tonight. It's our NHL writer's most optimal lineup for the night. I believe since he's come on the last 3 weeks, he's cashed every night except for 2 of those. So something to check out if you're interested in looking at a cash game lineup, an optimal lineup for tonight.
For sure. So I think that's really where we're at with our kind of bankroll management video. I hope this video helps you out. If you have any more questions or you need something broken down a little bit more in depth, like Jeremy said, you could jump into our Discord chat. You could send us a message, via Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. It's at DFS Cheat Sheet, and we would definitely be happy to kind of go a little bit more in depth with you guys. Want you guys to be successful in DFS. Make sure to check out the site, though. We got a lot of really good stuff to help you out. DFSCheatSheet.com. And hey, man, good luck on your guys' contest, for DFS. Later.